COVID-19 alert lockdowns have caused substantial damage to human lives and the economy in South Africa. The pandemic has made worse income inequalities that characterize the country's economy. But while some citizens deal with one pandemic, others have to deal with two, COVID-19 and hunger. All of this on top of gangsterism and fear.
Better, man, bro. It makes me feel better. Then I have to wait for tonight now to go to my sister to get something to eat, you see. That's all I can do. The money scares me, you see. There's no work, you see. Because there's no work for me. I'm 59, who's gonna employ me? No one, you see.
When Eyewitness News spoke to Williams, he missed the last handout of food by a community member in the area. He's not the only one without food. The 2020 Child Gauge report found that the pandemic and its lockdowns left nearly half of South Africa's mothers and children hungry for parts of last year. Researchers found 47% of households ran out of money to buy food in May and June. While the impact of two survival issues is severe on families in Elsies River and Tafelsig in the Western Cape, one more problem remains in the poor and working class communities.
To see when the kids can't play outside because there's other things going on, it's not nice, man.
Other things like what?
Like gangsterism, shooting. We can't, you can see now the place is empty outside. There's no kids outside. Because you don't know when it's going to happen.
While it was the COVID-19 and the associated regulations that initially forced people into their residences, the risk of violence is what is keeping many residents there.
The COVID-19 lockdown isn't so, for me, it isn't so severe as the gangsterism lockdown. Understand what I'm saying? I can deal with it, but I can't deal with this. The kids is my passion. And to see when the kids can't play outside because there's other things going on, it's not nice, man.
But in Tafelsig, community leaders say hunger is forcing gangsters to put away their guns to receive a bite to eat. Joni Fredericks is a community leader who runs a soup kitchen in the area. Here it is clear to gangsters that they need to stand in the queue next to each other with no violence if they want to receive help.
This queue here, you cannot have stand here with a knife and a gun and still hold your weapon. What I have to let something go. And this is not a place
Residents in both Elsies River and Tafelsig say that if it wasn't for the help they receive, they would often have nothing to eat or feed their families.
It wasn't easy, sometimes it was up and down, but we do make it. In the end of the day, we make it. We didn't have sometimes some food to eat or bread in the house, but during to John Fredericks, was always there to these people what bring bread there.
Many Tafelsig residents go hungry but still breathe a sigh of relief. For them, facing hunger daily over gangsterism is respite. But leaders are also hoping to change the narrative about their people.
These are the people that people used to write about. You know those horror stories? The rapes, the murders, and I believe that, there was a time that the only news that came from Tafelsig was about a murder, a rape. It was always just negative. And so this for me is just natural progress in the work that I and so many other community leaders did for the past 6 years at least. Because, if we didn't put the groundwork together to have community members come together and stand, goodness me, different gangs to stand together in the food queue, then I would say we've done a hell of a lot. Because at the end of the day, your gun is not going to bring you any food. How many times did you hear about different gangs standing in one queue for longer than 5 seconds? And it's been 11 months.
Since the country has moved to lockdown level 1 in mid-February, many have tried to find jobs. But unemployment remains high in these very poor and sometimes destitute communities.
We've been fortunate from the day go to feed at least 10,000 people through the grace of God and all the many wonderful people that support us. But what about the other 80,000? What about them? So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well done. No. I feel ashamed because we should have, could have, and must do more. And then as the levels dropped until level 1, we now have people walking freely all over the show, able to go and get a char for a day, able to do the stuff that they used to do. And yet, when it's time to give food, the queues remain as long as they were and longer. You saw that today.
Activists and residents are trying their best to make sure everyone gets food to eat, but there's not always enough to go around. The best solution is for people to find work that pays.
It's a bit difficult that because the sponsorship doesn't come through as you want it to. And we need to understand, because as I said, unemployment is the biggest problem. And companies has lost a whole lot. So we need companies to revive again, actually.
Fredericks, meanwhile, is trying to find a more sustainable way to keep her community fed.
So we, in last year, October, during World Food Day, we launched the Garden in a Box starter kit, in which 40 community members received this. Each of these boxes contain 12 varieties of vegetables, things that people use on a daily basis. Things that normally if you go and buy, you need to put at least a certain amount out of your ordinary budget to be able to buy this. It is now available for ordinary community members, and my commitment to my community is to see to it that each household gets such a box. Just next to Uncle John he makes me so proud, because his garden in a box they've been eating every week from that, and he can even give to other people. But even more important is that if they run out of a little bit of money and they need money for electricity or bread, they can take some of their vegetables and they can sell it to a neighbor or somebody.
And Steenkamp is hoping for a little more support for Elsies River's hungry residents.
You don't feel good when you know the need that's in your area, in your community. You know the need is big. There's sometimes then I'm awake at 2 at night and I lay in bed and I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? But I would really love for people to open their hearts. I know the unemployment rate is very big, so we can't expect too much. But if there is, then I would encourage people to sponsor any soup kitchen in the area.